think we're going to be good. All right. I'll let Dan in. All right, I think I got where we needed to be. Luke, I thought everyone was kind to you.
Not in chat, Your Honor.
Don't know about that. All right, we've got Daniel. There was a mix-up with the notice, so he didn't get notice, and it's a big convoluted matter. Mr. Williams has now been in custody for an additional 4 days. We had to let Mr. Williams go because he wasn't going to get lunch, and we just had a lot of travails.
I apologize again.
Well, and it's a strange case because he so often didn't show up when he was supposed to. And then we get him and lose him and get him and lose him, and I think we're almost where we need to be. And Daniel, you never actually had any contact with him for the same reasons we struggle with everything else.
Yes, that's correct. I had not. I think actually the time of the offense, I have that he had a valid failure to appear bench warrant out of 45th at the time.
Yeah, that's been taken care of.
But yeah, I thought that might have been.
There are actually 2 counts. One is the driving suspended count, the other is the operating while intoxicated count. Deputy Laurie said they were short-handed. I said, why don't you just have them walk up here to the court? And they didn't think that would be a good idea, so. Mr. Workman, do you have any other St. Joe County cases?
I do not, Judge. Unfortunately, this has been a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, like chasing your tail with salt on it. But Mr. Marvin was quite active in the defense bar and had a large share of the defender contract. And to his credit, he tried to resolve as many of the cases as he could between the primary and the general election in November, and even after that, but certainly once he took office, all the unresolved cases. And so he wasn't the only one. There were a number of other prosecutors that went to the bench or defense attorneys that went to prosecution that required special prosecutors. So we have prevailed on Kalamazoo, Cass, Branch, Calhoun. I'm not sure how many cases altogether got farmed out, including some very difficult ones. First degree murder, some criminal sexual conduct. I think Kalamazoo may have got one of the murders.
Yeah, I believe we have that. I think we have 4 or 5 other cases. So,
Well, this will work itself out eventually, but we're in that transition period. But it's been 5 months.
so for good reason, though. I mean, so
Yes.
at least you guys can move forward down there.
Have you guys tried a jury case? I know they tried one months ago. Have they got anything on the pipeline now?
I actually did a jury trial about a month ago in district.
Did you really?
court, and all we had in there was the jury was upstairs. So during voir dire, they were watching via telecom, from a different room. The only thing I didn't like about it is we had no guarantees that there was staff watching the jury, watching the telecom, like were their eyes on the screen, were they, you know what I mean? So I didn't know.
So you had the voir dire, the veneer was in a just separate space, and that was done by Polycom?
Yep. But I didn't dismiss a single juror because I just wanted to get it going, but it was fine.
Which judge was it?
Judge Ankley.
Okay, a felony case?
No, misdemeanor DV. So
Which courtroom did you try it in?
in her court. So the jurors didn't sit in the jury box. They actually sat in the public seating at the back of the court. So I felt, I was vaccinated then anyways, but I think, we made it clear everybody felt comfortable. But now that SCAO just came back out, I don't know when we'll be back to trials again. We're back.
I don't know. We're working. The judicial conference starts here in a bit. That's going to be a topic for discussion. But I wasn't aware that Kalamazoo had actually done a misdemeanor jury trial.
Yeah, about a month ago I did a DV, and that there was myself and one other colleague. He had both done a couple. He did a few. I just covered that court for that day. It was the first time I saw those cases. But
Good for you.
we ran
All
it.
right, well, let's address this case. Mr. Williams, I apologize for all the difficulty we've had here. This is file 20411ST, People versus Lonnie Daniel Williams III. Mr. Williams had a couple of different cases. Let me go back to the plea agreement. In file 20411, the charge of open intox was dismissed. The defendant pled to driving suspended first and operating while intoxicated. Another file of 20466, I believe that was driving suspended, was dismissed. Defendant entered that plea on October 12th of 2020. The matter was set for screening and sentencing on November 2nd. Then we had a series of missed dates and other mishaps. Defendant had a couple of days in custody for missing court. Originally, David Marvin was his attorney. Mr. Marvin was elected as prosecutor. Timothy Reed became Mr. Williams' attorney. And now Luke Knopfinger is his attorney. Because Mr. Marvin was elected as prosecutor, we've had a special prosecutor from Kalamazoo County assigned, who's Assistant Prosecutor Jason Workema, who is here with us. And let me get back to this. So the matter was set for sentencing. It was supposed to be Wednesday, May 5th, but I wrote Wednesday, May 3rd, so there was all kinds of confusion because May 3rd was a Monday. I wanted to do it as soon as I could because Mr. Williams was in custody. I canceled his bond because we had such a difficult time getting him here. Our special prosecutor has received a copy of the screening and sentencing report. Luke Knopfsinger has received a copy of the screening and sentence report. Daniel Frazine, who prepared the report, had to somewhat shoot from the hip because you didn't show up for screening and sentencing. And so I'm not sure it's the best report Daniel's ever done. He does really good ones, but we didn't get your part of the story. So Mr. Knopfsinger is now attorney of record, has been, I think, since March. The court just didn't realize that. Mr. Knopfsinger, what's your pleasure here today?
Well, Your Honor, I'd like the court to consider the guidelines and what really pushes Mr. Williams' numbers along are his prior felony convictions. I understand the recommendation is between 33 and 50% of the max. In large part, that's due to the 120 points for prior felony convictions, which I'm going to suggest to the court shouldn't be all that relevant. I would ask the court to, and they are advisory, they're not, the court isn't bound by them. So I'd ask the court leniency in that respect. I'd also ask the court to consider, although Mr. Williams hasn't appeared at every hearing here, and he does have somewhat of a scattered history, he did take responsibility for his actions. I would ask the court to consider those things and jail credit. Thank you.
All right, you make some good points. Mr. Workman, what's your position here?
Well, Your Honor, as a special prosecutor assigned this case, I do have limited contact with both the agency as well as defense counsel. But from my perspective, from an outside view, it appears to me that Mr. Williams is not the type of defendant that would do well on probation. Lack of contact with the court since plea is certainly proof of that. The incident of itself is concerning. These are the horror stories you read about in operating while intoxicated cases. Speeding in an area, flying through a four-way stop. This could be a much worse situation than it is. In reviewing his history, it looks to me like he should have been on probation still, at least here in Kalamazoo County. I couldn't find the case here based on his record. Oh, it was revoked, so that's why. But he got 1,095 days for his 2017 conviction in 45th. So it appears to me that he's not an individual who is manageable by probation. So I think that what's recommended by probation, I think that's an appropriate recommendation given all the circumstances. I don't think there's much else that I can read from an outside perspective in the record indicating that Mr. Williams would be somebody that would be open to some type of probation and treatment resources. So I think I believe it's a 31 to 47 days jail. So they're asking for 47 days credit for, and that was as of November. So I don't know if that's changed. He might have a little bit more credit since he's in custody now. But I think that's appropriate, Judge, and I would ask the court to follow that recommendation.
Lonnie, what would you like to tell me?
I just want to apologize for not showing up for court, and I have stopped drinking. And due to COVID, my girl had came down with COVID, and that's part of the reason why I didn't show up, and because she was gonna drive me and shit. So I just didn't want to. I didn't want to catch it, and I didn't want to bring it to your jail facility. I just want to apologize, for running y'all through the hoops,
Well, we're gonna try to get this done. Daniel, what's your thought?
Well, to piggyback on what Mr. Workman had said, this is about the worst case scenario you could have possibly had, other than the fact that he didn't actually kill somebody. Not only was he going very fast, 65 to 75 miles an hour, and he was 1-2-1-3, so he's good and drunk. He plowed through a stop sign intersection, which very easily could have been somebody riding a bike, moped, just stopped and not stopped completely. He could have hit him and killed him. And looking at his record, I thought the 47 days was actually quite reasonable. I think it's definitely in this situation justified. The fact that he didn't show up or call, I think just lends credence to that. And that's all I would have to say, Your Honor.
I think he's entitled to some additional jail credit. You wrote that report in November. Let me look at the Register of Actions, because I think he got picked up on a couple bench warrants after that. See if I can figure this out. No, it wasn't until April 30th that he got arrested. So he has 3 days up front and 4 days since. Luke makes an interesting point. He has a lot of baggage on his driving record, or on his criminal record, but not much of it has to do with driving. Everything that's on the report is other criminal behavior, although there seems like there's a fling and looting in there. The defendant was suspended multiple times, mostly for drug convictions. On this particular day, he was driving on a suspended license and blasted through the stop sign. I don't remember what you told me, Lonnie. It was Valentine's Day. You were drinking vodka, but where were you going?
I was going to see my girlfriend.
All right. Then he got another driving suspended in February. And let's check that, see if he did some jail in that case, because that one got dismissed. So while he was on bond for this one, he drove suspended again. Let me see if I got that right. 2/22/20. This one occurred on yeah, he got this one on 2/14, and then he got another one on 2/22. And the same thing, didn't show up for that one. Bench warrant. 9/11, 2 days jail. That was concurrent with the other one. So anyway, he was vodka in the car, open intox, going too fast, ran a stop sign, and then was suspended, and then got another suspended shortly thereafter. On the driving suspended charge, I'm going to order 7 days, credit 7 days. Leaving 0 days to serve. So what this essentially is a first offense operating while intoxicated with bad facts. Although he has a lot of criminal record and some driving suspendeds, the other ones really aren't drinking driving offenses. Lonnie, you said you stopped drinking. Tell me about that. That isn't something people just turn off like a switch.
It's just, it's not taking me nowhere, and it takes money out of my pocket.
Well, that's true enough. When did you last work?
Just March? Or February or March.
Where did you work at?
American Axle, PTI through American, and inside American Axle.
What happened to that job?
Ride situations.
Well, heck, you were living on West Street, you could walk to PTI from there, or even American Axle.
Not no, heavy snow. And I ain't finna drive, I ain't finna get in no more trouble.
All right, well, it's only a few blocks.
I know, right?
All right, anyway, so to refresh my memory, how'd you get arrested last week?
They came to my home.
That's what you told me. So you got 7 days credit. This is a OUIL with a .12 and 13, which isn't the worst I've seen. It's Valentine's Day. You're going too fast and you run the stop sign. There was no accident. You were not uncooperative with police officers. You admitted to drinking the vodka and you pled on the nose to the OUIL, so you're going to get a further suspension of your license. So taking all the felony stuff out and your lack of cooperation is why we're here. I'm going to order 14 days, credit 7, leaving 7 days to serve. Concurrent with the DWLS count. A lot of this is for continuing to drive on a suspended license. I'm going to waive the fine, which I don't normally do, but I'm not going to chase you around for it. $75 crime victims' rights fee, $50 state minimum fee, and a $150 attorney fee. Daniel, was there a police reimbursement? No police reimbursement.
I did not see one, Your Honor.
That's $275, which is unusually low. That's going to be due by August 31st. You're going to have some good time in this. My guess is you're going to be out in about 5 days. The good news is done. The bad news is you're going to be in jail for a few more days, but we're creeping back up with our jail population. COVID is still an issue. I don't want to bring people in and out of there on weekends or that sort of thing. And I don't really need 47 days, but I think 14, no probation and some reduced costs would suffice. Thank you all. We were able to finally accomplish this. Mr. Williams, they'll tell you what your out date is. And it'll be a few days from now. Then, are you still at the West Street address?
Yes, sir.
With your same girlfriend we talked about before?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There's all kinds of people looking for work, I mean, employees right now. They're manufacturing sector, the hospitality sector, a lot of factories are looking for some help. I think when you get out of jail, you ought to be able to get a job, but you won't have a license.
Right.
All right. You're good to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Luke, thank you. Mr. Workema, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you,
And Daniel, we'll close the record and hope for the best. All right, thank you. Mr. Workema, nice working with you. We'll see you again.
All right, great. Thanks a lot, Judge. Have a good day.